Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. This one's going to be a tough one. We're diving into a story about trust and betrayal, and how to put a family back together when it feels like everything's falling apart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys shared Alexander's story with us, and it's intense.
it is.
This guy found out his wife of 15 years was having an affair.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we have these excerpts from a support group call that he was a part of, and he just lays everything out. He talks about how he found out back in March of 2022 and the shock of it,
Oh,
and then how he tried to make it work to reconcile.
right.
But then he found out that the affair was still happening.
Oh, that is just brutal. 15 years, though. That's a long time.
I know, right?
Yeah,
And to have this just blow up like that, it makes you wonder what goes wrong in a relationship that leads to that point.
absolutely. It makes you think about, what's the communication like in that relationship and what might have been going on under the surface for years.
Exactly. And the fact that she kept seeing this other guy, even after he tried to fix things, that's got to be so hard to wrap your head around. It just destroys your trust.
It really does.
And then there's the kids. They have two sons, 11 and 13,
Oh, gosh.
teenagers.
Right, in those tough years.
Yeah. When they need stability more than ever.
I mean, can you imagine trying to understand something like that at that age? Their whole world is changing, and the people they should be able to count on the most are the ones causing all the problems. It's
Yeah.
got to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah. Alexander says his sons have become really withdrawn and negative towards their mom.
That's heartbreaking.
It is. He said they even told him they don't want to meet the man she's been seeing, and they just want to live with him. Like they want him to be their main parent.
Wow. That shows just how hurt and confused they are.
Yeah.
It's like they're rejecting the whole situation, trying to create some sense of normalcy and safety, which is completely understandable.
Yeah, it makes sense. And that's actually what's so powerful about Alexander's story. Even with all this going on, he's totally focused on creating that stable, loving home for his sons,
He really is.
trying to shield them from all the drama.
Yeah, he's not just being a dad, he's stepping up as a protector, too.
Totally. I mean, he's in the middle of a divorce and trying to figure out custody and all that.
That's a lot to deal with.
It is. But he's still making sure his sons feel safe and loved, and that they know they're being heard.
He's showing what it really means to put your kids first, even in a crisis. It's admirable.
It really is. And it makes you think, what can we do as a society to help families going through these kinds of things? What kind of support is out there for parents?
That's a really important question. And it's not just about providing resources, It's
Yeah.
about creating a culture where people can talk about these issues without feeling ashamed or judged.
You're right. It's like everyone tiptoes around these topics, but they're real, and families need help, not judgment.
Exactly. We need to be more open about these things,
Mhm.
create a space where people can get the support they need without worrying about what others will think.
Exactly. Okay, going back to Alexander, there's this one thing that really stuck with me. It's about how he's trying to build a new kind of trust with his sons. He mentioned something called 3 ticks in a box.
Right. Yeah, he talked about that as a way of making decisions together as a family. Like everybody gets a say, and if they agree, they put a tick in the box.
Yeah. It's not just about letting them have a voice. It's about showing them that their opinions matter, that he's really listening to them.
It's a really smart move, especially when you consider how badly their trust has been broken. It's
Yeah.
like he's slowly rebuilding that foundation, brick by brick, showing them that they can be open and honest with him.
It's completely different from the environment their mother created, which he described as really controlling and manipulative.
Right, and kids pick up on that stuff, They're
Yeah.
really sensitive to those dynamics.
Yeah.
So by doing this, by being open and collaborative, Alexander is showing his sons what a healthy relationship looks like.
He's teaching them that respect and communication, empathy, those are the things that make a strong family.
Exactly. And those lessons will stay with them way beyond this situation.
Totally. Now, another thing that struck me was how Alexander's trying to reclaim their space. He talked about redecorating the house with his sons, making it feel like their own.
That's such a powerful image, like they're erasing the past and starting fresh.
Yeah, it's like a cleansing almost, reclaiming their home, making it a safe space.
And it's not just the physical space, right? It's about their emotional space, too. Alexander talked about setting boundaries with his wife, protecting his sons from her manipulation, trying to bring some normalcy back into their lives.
He's taking control, not letting her actions dictate how they live. That's got to be empowering for him and his sons.
It definitely is. He's showing them that even when bad things happen, you still have choices. You can still take steps to make things better.
That's a powerful message for anyone going through something similar. You're not powerless.
Right.
You can create a better future. I found Alexander's advice about dealing with feeling overwhelmed really insightful. He talked about that tendency to catastrophize.
Oh, yeah. I think we all do that sometimes.
Right, getting caught up in worst-case scenarios.
It's our brains trying to figure out what might happen. It's natural, especially when things feel out of control.
But Alexander talked about learning to focus on the present moment, taking it one step at a time, dealing with challenges as they come, instead of worrying about the future.
It's about being mindful, being present. That's so important for managing stress.
Absolutely. He even talked about doing things like putting a padlock on his office door and getting a camera for his bedroom.
It sounds extreme, but when trust is broken, sometimes you need those extra measures to feel safe.
It's about that feeling of security, which is so important for healing.
Exactly. And that sense of security can come from having people you can rely on, a good support system.
It's huge. Just having people who understand what you're going through, who you can talk to, it makes a world of difference.
And it's not just about getting support, it's about giving it too. Alexander mentioned how being in that group, sharing his story, it helped him heal.
Yeah, sometimes helping others can be the best way to help yourself.
Absolutely. It reminds you that you're not alone. Now, one thing I'm curious about is the legal side of things. Alexander wants his sons to live with him primarily, but I imagine that can be tricky with custody.
Yeah, family law can be really complicated.
It can.
So how does the court decide what's best for the kids, especially when they're old enough to have their own opinions?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll dig into in the next part of our deep dive. We'll look at how custody decisions are made, what factors are considered, and the impact of something called parental alienation.
So we're talking about Alexander's sons wanting to live with him.
Right.
And you were saying how custody battles can get pretty complicated.
They definitely can. The courts always say they want to do what's best for the child, but figuring that out, well, it's not always easy.
I bet. So how do they even decide what's best for the kid?
They look at a bunch of things, like how old the child is and how mature they are.
Okay.
Their relationship with each parent.
Makes sense.
The mental and physical health of both parents.
Right.
If each parent can provide a stable home, and of course, if there's any history of abuse or neglect.
That's a lot to consider. But what about what the kids want? I mean, Alexander's sons have been pretty clear about wanting to live with him. Does the court take that into account?
They do, but how much weight they give the child's opinion depends on their age and how mature they are.
Okay.
Older kids, especially teenagers, usually have more say, but in the end, it's the judge who makes the final call.
That makes sense. What if one parent is trying to, turn the kids against the other parent?
You're talking about parental alienation.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a big issue, and courts are starting to recognize how damaging it can be for kids. If there's proof that a parent is trying to sabotage the other parent's relationship with the child, that can definitely affect the custody decision.
So what can a parent do if they're in that situation? How can they protect their relationship with their kids and make sure they're heard?
Well, the most important thing is to document everything. Anytime the other parent badmouths you, tries to limit your time with the kids, or makes false accusations, keep records of conversations, emails, texts, anything that can be used as evidence.
That sounds like a lot, especially when you're already going through so much emotionally.
It is, but it's crucial. You need to show the court that there's a pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
And remember, this isn't about getting back at the other parent. It's about protecting your kid's right to have a healthy relationship with both of you.
Right. It's about putting their needs first.
Exactly. And that's what I admire about Alexander. He's not letting the anger and hurt consume him. He's focused on making a positive and supportive environment for his sons, and that's what truly matters.
It really is. It's like he's creating a whole new kind of family, one built on trust and respect and open communication. And even amidst all this chaos, he's still finding those moments of joy with his kids.
He is. He talked about redecorating their home together, letting them have input, giving them that sense of ownership. It's really heartwarming.
It is. It shows that even in the darkest times, there's still hope for healing and growth. And sometimes those tough times can lead to incredible transformations.
I completely agree. And Alexander's story reminds us of a few things, like how important it is to be resilient, to put our children's well-being first, and to never underestimate the power of love and forgiveness.
It's a powerful story. It really makes you think. What advice would you give to someone going through a separation or divorce, especially if there are kids involved?
Well, first off, be kind to yourself. It's a tough time. It's okay to feel sad, angry, confused, even relieved. And don't be afraid to ask for help from friends, family, or a therapist.
That's so important. What about the legal stuff? That can feel overwhelming.
It can. Find a good lawyer who specializes in family law, someone who really gets your situation. Be upfront with them about everything, and don't hesitate to ask questions. The more you know, the better decisions you can make for yourself and your kids.
And what about the kids themselves? What advice would you give to parents who are trying to protect their children during this difficult time?
Reassure your kids that you love them and that this isn't their fault. Keep their routines as normal as possible. Let them know it's okay to feel whatever they're feeling.
It really does come back to what we've been talking about, right? Communication, empathy, putting the children first.
Exactly. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about working together to create a healthy and supportive environment for everyone involved. That's what real resilience looks like.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. Thanks for sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure. And to everyone listening, remember, even in the toughest times, there's always hope for healing and growth. Be kind to yourselves, to each other, and especially to the children who are going through this with you.
And if we've learned anything from Alexander's story, it's that even when everything seems broken, we can still rebuild. We can create a new kind of family and find strength in the face of adversity. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.